given permission to do it. So who is administering the oath?
Okay.
Thank you.
That is not a problem. We have our deputy clerk that is around, and he can administer the oath because your role cannot be done.
Fine, I'll go ahead, but deputy clerk has never been gazetted to do that.
The truth is, clerk, you will not make our work very hard. In the County Assembly Service Act. Now let me refer to that so that we are on load together. The County Assembly Service Act, number 21, reads that exercise of functions of a clerk during vacancy or inability. Wakili, and the oath is not for photos, it's for evidence to go on record. It is said by the client. So even you as the counsel and an advocate of the High Court, you can still administer an oath to your client.
Kindly, Mr. Chair.
Unless you are unable.
Mr. Chair, just refrain from attacks on my person. We don't have to proceed on oath. You don't have to proceed on oath. You can give an unsworn statement. Yeah?
The oath, the purpose of the oath.
I've given advice to the committee, yeah, that he can proceed on an unsworn evidence. Your wakili can advise.
Okay, if the client doesn't want to take an oath, it's fine, but it goes on record that he doesn't want to take an oath. We can proceed.
Thank you. I prefer to stand because the tempo is quite high. I'm responding to item number 1, and I want to say this. But again, in the record, the letter I have says I can be accompanied by an advocate. And the work of the advocate is sometimes to express what I'm not able to express well. And you have insisted that I should talk. The concern was leaking of confidential information and documents to unauthorized persons outside the precincts of the assembly. In particular, you released ballot papers that were cast in secret during the impeachment motion of His Excellency Governor Amos Karibo of NYAMIRA County Assembly on 3rd of October 2023 to the public, putting the lives of honorable members at risk. This violation of Chapter 6 of the Constitution of 2010 on leadership and integrity, together with the NYAMIRA County Assembly Standing Order number 10. Standing Order number 10, start from that point, has been referred in relation to ballot papers that were cast in secret ballot during elections during the impeachment motion of the governor of NYAMIRA County, His Excellency Amos Karibo, on 3rd October 2023. The referred standing order of the County Assembly NYAMIRA states as follows, standing order number 10. Standing order number 10, Chairman. Immediately the results are declared, all the ballot papers used in the elections of a speaker shall be packed and sealed in the presence of the County Assembly and kept in the custody of the clerk for 6 months and shall thereafter be destroyed. These are ballot papers of the elections of the speaker that shall be kept in safe custody for 6 months and thereafter destroyed. But today, we are talking about the impeachment ballot papers, if you can refer them like that, impeachment ballot papers. When I look at the procedure of removal of governor by impeachment, that is standing order number 62, going through it one by one up to the last one, which is number 7. Nothing is talked about the custody of those ballot papers. What is talked about is that when the motion has been passed by 2/3 of all members of the County Assembly, the Speaker shall inform the Speaker of Senate as of that resolution within 2 days. Within our standing orders, I do not have any direction on how to have the custody of such a papers. Point number one. Number two, for correction, of course. Number two, as I've referred that. Secondly, I am concerned if I am accused of having released to the public and I've been given a picture here. I wish to know who this one is. Where are they taken? And by who? Secondly, there's another one you showed. Who took it? Which camera? Yes. And who took it? Which camera? Who exposed to the public? And whose ballot paper is this? Because this ballot paper can be made by anybody else. The computers are there, the papers are there, it can be done. Thirdly, if they went to the public, who is the public in this case? Anybody beyond the presidents of the county assembly is referred in our standing orders as the public. So I stand here to say, I want to be told whose ballot paper is this. I want to be told which camera sent it out or photographed here, and finally, who sent it out. In your communication to me, Honorable Chair, you have said that I am putting the lives of the members at risk. It is time to ask, who was threatened? Who was put at risk? And if you were put at risk, the first thing when you are threatened is to report to the police station, pick an occurrence, say, it's called an OB, so that we could have here in reference, somebody has been threatened. But finally, as I'll put it here in my writing, I did not release those ballot papers to the public. I wish also to make a statement that this issue is coming 9 months after the exercise. Is there genuineness in that? I'm not sure. Nobody ever complained around that time that the papers are out there, have been threatened. Why is it coming 9 months later? And I want to ask, where are the originals of these ballot papers? If the speaker's elections takes 6 months and then you are advised to destroy, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with the impeachment ballot papers of any officer. It's never spelled out in any law, particularly because you took us to the standing orders. It's not said what I'm supposed to do. But in essence, I want to be very clear and categorical. I did not release these ballot papers at whatever time to the public. And the issue of dividing of who is the public is within the legal fraternity. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk. And just to also correct you, that in the standing order, the same standing order you are referring to, you are opposing that the ballot papers that you should be in custody of are those of the Speaker. And we want to also give you clarification that the Deputy Speaker was elected by the ballot, and it was not specified. And I want to take you back to standing order number 1 of our County Assembly of NYAMIRA, that in all cases where matters are not expressly provided for by these standing orders or by other orders of the County Assembly, any procedural question shall be decided by the Speaker. And on this matter, Clerk, we sat here and we talked about it being of high risk because it was a vote of taking someone home, and the House proposed through the guidance of the leadership or the speaker in the leadership at that point, the speaker gave directions that we use secret ballots. So if we want to restrict ourselves to the exact words of this, you should also remember that the elections, giving an example of KTDA, are not cited in the Elections Act. But whenever they do it through the IBC, they apply all the other procedures of any other general election. So we don't want to talk about the ballots being the speakers or being the governors. The question is, after voting has been done in the assembly, who then is supposed to be the custodian of these ballot papers? And second to that, now that you are saying that you don't know, you want the camera that took, you want such, who is supposed to be having the papers? And then we answer, in that case, how they found themselves inside a car. And separate to that, in a voting process, we have those who vote for and those who vote against. Why would you show me the ballot paper of my fellow member who voted against or for? So the ballot paper, once it is cast inside the ballot, it should not come out of the ballot. That is the point. After 6 months, you are allowed to destroy. Third, no matter expires, that because it's 9 months after elections, so a statement cannot be sought. It is that time when these papers were seen in public is when this matter came up. So we are only asking a simple question. If you have denied that you didn't give the ballot papers to the public, we want to prove you beyond that you gave them or not. We have only asked how they found themselves inside a car. And you have expressly denied that this is not you inside that car. That is on record. And I'm giving the chance to the members first.
Some clarification.
Yes.
You say the deputy speaker's votes have not been referred to in the standing orders.
Yes.
I beg to have a different opinion.
Yes.
The votes of the speaker are conducted the same way with the votes of the deputy speaker.
Yes.
So they are handled that way.
And that is why I wanted you to note, Clerk, that when you single out the speaker and assume that the deputy speaker is not elected in here, and any other motion that is done by secret ballot does not use ballots of the same type, the process is the same. What we do is, there is something we call precedence, that when elections of the KTDA board members is done, it is done by the Election Act. If we want to be exact on impeachment papers, then that one is restrictive because we have a precedence of how elections should be done inside a house.
Thank you. I wish to remain restrictive on impeachment papers. Secondly, the standing order number 1, which you have cited. In all cases where matters are not expressly provided by the standing orders or by other orders of the county assembly, any procedural question shall be decided by the speaker. At that time, when we were doing the ballot, the impeachment motion, the speaker never pronounced himself on issues of the custody of the impeachment ballot papers. If there is...
Clerk, I wish to interject. It is about the process, not about the custody. And the process was, it was declared it is done by secret ballot. All the other following procedures, if you read standing order number 2, the decision made in paragraph 1 shall be based on the Constitution of Kenya, statute law and usages, forms, precedents, that is what I refer to, customs, procedures and traditions of the County Assembly of NYAMIRA, other county assemblies of the Republic, and other jurisdiction to the extent that these are applicable to Kenya. So we are talking about the ballot papers and the election process. We are not talking about specifics on the custody. The chair could not talk about custody, and we have already talked about the election of the speaker.
Just for guidance, Mr. Chair, I'd like us to go to section 23 of the County Assembly Services Act. that you relied upon in framing of these charges to my client. Yes, that is why he read the charge as framed by your members. If you needed any interpretation of that standing order number 10, you ought to have done it on that charge that you framed to my client. And so we are interpreting the charge as framed by you, your members. Do not, let us not say, let us deal
So
with
we
the
don't
charge
have
as is.
anything
No,
called
no, no.
precedence?
Let us charge.
We don't have anything called precedence we can
We
refer
do,
to?
and I would like to have the same.
We were specific that the ballot papers we are talking about were the ballot papers of impeachment.
That is correct.
We could not talk about any other ballot papers.
That is correct. Let us refrain ourselves to that, and that standing order that you have made reference to, as well as chapter 6 of the Constitution, yeah, that you have ambiguously stated that he defied. Let us restrict ourselves
That
to
is
that.
on integrity.
Yes.
That is what we are talking about. Chapter 6 talks about integrity, and integrity is not releasing confidential information to a public putting the risk. Kindly, Wakili, I beg you stop there, because the guidance you are giving is misleading. Thank you. I wish to give the board.
Is that a decision of the chair or the board?
I wish to give the mic to the board members to also contribute.
I think, Chair, you're out of order.
We are not having
You should
orders.
not overrule a party because they spoke something.
No,
that
you are
would not-
misleading. You are giving details that are not relevant.
I'm just guiding the board.
Integrity is integrity. Kindly, Wakili, with all due respect, we invited you here as an advisor to the client, not to us. And a caution to you, Wakili, you cannot tell me I'm out of order because you didn't set any procedures to this sitting, so you will follow the procedures of our sitting as set. So, also state to the clerk that before assuming office, he was under oath, and an oath of office in that case. So at all times, he should conduct himself with integrity. That's the law that applies here. Second to that, Honorable Lamek has asked if, because the impeachment motion is the one we are talking about, that the ballot papers should just be thrown anywhere in that case. Because when you defend that you can only be a custodian of the speaker's ballot papers, then any other ballot paper cast in this house should just be thrown anywhere because it is not specific.
Chairman, I hope I'm not getting mixed up. I think I have responded to the issue on the table now as framed. I did not release the ballot paper to the public. If there is anything of that matter, then let there be evidence to that. I know I'm under oath, and I'm saying I did not release the documents to the public. And I don't know why you're not wanting to take my answer, because that's what happened.
We have not refused to take your answer, Clerk. You should also be respecting what we talk.
I do.
We only we commented on what you alleged. So if you didn't have a lot you wanted to say, you didn't release them, you should have stopped there, not explaining on cameras and who took them. Kindly.
I think, Chairman, just to add to what my client has said, if you're alleging that he did, because it looks like you're alleging that he did and you have evidence, table it before the...
We have tabled evidence...
with witnesses.
Wakili, we also have a procedure. You seek for
okay.
permission to talk.
Okay.
You don't just chip in. Second to that, you ask through the chair that you want to speak. Secondly,
I'm guided.
Secondly, we want to say this. We have given our evidences. You cannot question the sufficiency. We only say that if the clerk has denied that he did not release, and we have given our evidence and he has quashed it, we leave it there.
Yes, it can go on record that
Yes.
the evidence was challenged and the same remains, you have not
We are not
That's
here
frustrating.
to, we don't have a magistrate or a judge to also give a ruling.
This is
on
a
that.
fair hearing, Mr. Chair, like you say.
We have not refused, and we have given our evidence. The clerk has said it did not release the ballot papers. And on that note, I wish to remind you for the last time, okay, you are not supposed to answer questions on behalf of the client. You are supposed to guide the client. Kindly, you are really becoming hostile to this process. Guide your client, whisper. I think you have not had my counsel talk on my behalf. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I was also raising that concern that they seems to be hostile, Honorable Chair, and the Honorable Chair and the clerk should explain these ballots clearly were pictured inside the car, and the title they belong to NYAMIRA County, the logo of NYAMIRA. So, Honorable Chair, we have tabled our evidence, and if there is evidence and if they want to challenge the evidence, it is allowed to be challenged. But I am requesting that this is not a one-man show. It is a fair hearing where everybody should be given a chance to give his or her own views. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, I also want to say something from the side of the council, who is representing the clerk or who has come here as an advisor to the clerk. Some of the language, some words she's using are not in order, as in trying to imbibe that we have used this word, we have referred the Constitution chapter 2010 ambiguously stated. That is not in order.
Thank you for your contribution, and I corrected that, Honorable Lamek, that you cannot term the Chapter 6 on integrity matters ambiguous.
And Honorable Chair, I'm requesting you protect this from some other honorable members who are making noise, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Chair, I feel that they are disturbing our proceedings. And Honorable Chair, as we are doing this fair hearing, Honorable Chair, we should not be restricted, because if we are talking about an election, it is an election, and there is no law which allows our clerk to read the ballots if they belong to the impeachment and keep the ballots which belong to the Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. I presume that that was a response on him saying that the standing order talks about. Honorable Clerk, I only wanted you to say one thing. I did not release, so that our evidence becomes. Otherwise, us debating on which ballot papers you should be in custody of and now allowing any other one to be there becomes a bit hard. On that first question, we will close it there because you have denied that you didn't release the ballot papers.
No, I have some clarification to make.
And before you make it, Honorable Geto, you were out when we started, and I think Honorable Mangera, Honorable George was here. We agreed that this is a process of the board and it should be respected to the fullest. You don't do cheers from where you are or claps and such. Because I heard you say yes and such and such. Kindly refrain from such statements, otherwise we shall evict you from this sitting. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to clarify that one, the impeachment process was done by secret ballot. Two, the picture we have here is not my car. Thank you.
It's about who the persons are, not the car. So if you say it is not you and the car is not yours, we finish it there.
It's not me and the car is not mine. Thank you.
Thank you. We are moving to allegation number 2. And on allegation number 2, we have an issue of illegally confirming single-handedly 11 members of staff who are under investigation. I assume that the clerk is hearing because he will have to answer us first. we have the case of illegal confirmation of assembly staff. And on this matter, it should go on record that from the evidences we have provided, a minute of the board that was restricting the confirmation of the said staff was done because the matter was still pending ESCC investigation. And on that regard, going back to the minutes that they raised as a board, former board, to employ this staff, there was no advert based on that employment. It was not done at all. There was no shortlist and there were no interviews. So when ESCC picked up the matter, our hands as the board were tied not to confirm this staff. But the clerk single-handedly, without the consent of the board, went ahead and confirmed this staff. That is the allegation. And in our evidences, we have a minute of the board on the 7th of April 2023, and it is minute number 3. The secretary to the board informed the members that there were 11 staff who had not been confirmed due to ESCC pending investigation on their employment. The board resolved that they could not take any action on the issue until after ESCC had concluded the matter. And this minute, the clerk, you are aware that you yourself signed this minute, that we are not taking any action of confirming the said staff members. But 14 days later, you went ahead and confirmed this staff. And a letter reads, that is on 17th April, 10 days later, sorry, we did our minute on 7th, that is when the meeting was done, and 10 days later, on 17th, without the authority of the board, you went and wrote a letter and said, reconfirmation of appointment. I am pleased to convey the decision of the County Assembly Service Board to confirm your appointment on permanent and pensionable terms as per your letter of appointment dated 16th June 2017. Your pension will be computed starting 1st July 2017, being the date you were appointed on probation. Yours sincerely, Daniel Orina, signed Clerk and Secretary CASP, County Assembly of NYAMIRA. And you copied this letter to the Human Resource and Administration and to the personal files of these employees. The stamp therein is the stamp that belongs to Daniel Orina, Clerk, NYAMIRA County Assembly. And this is the letter I'm talking about, your letter of confirmation, a sample. Then we have one letter that you received from ESCC that was written to the clerk, to the Speaker of NYAMIRA County Assembly on 6th December 2017. Then it was, dear sir, request for documents and information. This commission is investigating allegations of irregular recruitment of employees into the NYAMIRA County Assembly. To facilitate our investigations, kindly provide us with the personal files of the following employees: Wycliffe Maoga Bikundo, Kevin Osoro, Vera Kerubo Orina, Lamek Nyamache Matoke, Eric Machoka Undari, Kefa Mweresa Mkoba, Rogers Ngota Sese, Maureen Mora Abaya, Janet Mokera Gesamba, Jelia Nyaitondi Nyaribari. Now, on receiving this letter that the County Assembly of NYAMIRA, it is stamped as received, you responded from your office and signed to the Manager Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, South Nyanza Regional Office, GUSII. Dear sir, read documents and information. Reference to your letter reference ESCC case 10, Volume 1, 79, dated 6 August 2017. The following are personal files which have been delivered to your office today, 13th December 2017. The files of the ones that were requested, and you sign as the clerk. It means, therefore, that you are aware that this case was with the EACC. Further to that, we had a communication from the Human Resource Department, the Director, Justus Onkundi, that the personal files of the mentioned are with EACC. So he had to confirm because we had duplicate, and as the board, we were concerned of the whereabouts of the said files. Now, on the same note, in December, in your response, you have mentioned that you confirmed them because you are getting rid of the backlog, of the administrative backlog, because you had seen that they had taken long before they were confirmed, and legally you said that if 6 months elapse, then an employee is deemed confirmed. That is true according to the law. It's very true. But in your advisory, Honorable Clerk, on 13th of March 2018, you wrote to the County Assembly Service Board and said, read, advisory to the County Assembly Service Board, July 2017, recruited staff. The staffs were recruited by the directions of the CASP. In this process, the names of the recruits were presented to the Director Human Resource to draft the letters as directed by the former chairman of the County Assembly Service Board. Note that on the application letters, the chairman gave express instructions on where the same were to be deployed. The CASP secretary, working under the directions of the speaker, received the letters as drafted and signed them. Currently, the matter is under investigation by EACC, and I am of the opinion to wait for the conclusion of the investigations, which might direct on what ought to be done. As the HR director advised in the last meeting, I concur that since the 6 months of probation are now over, it would be better to wait for outcome of the investigation before making a final decision. Thank you, Daniel ORINA'S signed, Clerk and Secretary to the County Assembly Service Board, County Assembly of NYAMIRA. Based on that, Honorable Clerk, looking at some of the files of the said, this is a public institution, you should take note of that. And taking just one here, it is in your evidences. We want to question this as a result. One staff among the 10 indicates does an application hearing. The name of the applicant, PO Box 202 GUSII, 23rd May 2017. The speaker, stroke chair CASP, County Assembly of NYAMIRA. That is where the address is. Employment as a disaster management officer. I hereby apply for the above position in the County Assembly. I'm interested in this position since there is need to have an officer of my kind as disasters are on the rise. If considered, I promised to work diligently and proactively to secure the assembly premises and assist the county government on issues of disaster. Here attached are my credentials. Thank you, signed by the applicant. Then you, Honorable Clerk, you wrote, attention, Honorable Speaker, stroke Chairman of CASP. And being that this letter was addressed to the chair, you say, in my opinion, we need such an officer. Kindly advise. Then the speaker writes a comment down here. Please place them, please place the applicant in the sergeant at arms department, then he signs. Honorable Clerk, this is a public institution that adheres to the Employment Act. There is no recruitment in a public institution where someone, a stranger, comes from the street and writes to the county assembly, then you recommend directly that we need such an officer. After that, the application is done on disaster management. Then you recommend the applicant to sergeant at arms. It means even the applicant didn't know the department to which he's applying to. So by all means, this is a shoddy process, and it is unconstitutional to employ by handpicking in a government institution. It's either an external public advert is done, not an internal decision between two people. And in this case, all the other applicants, I can read a second sample of an applicant so that we are up to speed. Second applicant, re-application, this one now wrote to the clerk. The first one wrote to the chairman of the County Assembly Service Board. Wrote to the clerk, County Assembly of NYAMIRA, PO Box 590, 4500, NYAMIRA. Dear sir, re-application for a job. I am applying for a job in the Assembly of NYAMIRA to enable me offer my services to the County Assembly of NYAMIRA, to the County of NYAMIRA. I am hardworking Kenyan, goal-oriented and focused. I am equally a team player who works with a minimum supervision at all times and display high standards of accountability. I look forward to your kind and positive response. Thanks in advance. Yours faithfully, signed by the applicant. Then the clerk, you comment here, approved. Department approved. Department in accounts or finance, then you indicate job group K, JGK. Now, these files are all having the same type. And going back, this one is another applicant, County Assembly, to the clerk, County Assembly of NYAMIRA. Dear sir, the application for employment as office assistant. I kindly apply requesting to be considered for employment in your institution in above position. I'm a Form 4 holder from St. whatever, secondary school, and a computer literate. I have worked at the Ministry of Youth and Gender, Sports and Social Service for 3 months. I will abide by the rules and regulations of the organization if given an opportunity. Thank you, yours faithfully, signed. Then the clerk, you commented, facilitate and please at Nyamira office, Nyamira MC office, something of the sort. So now, this is now the instruction from the speaker that you should facilitate this to the clerk and post at Nyamira MCS office. Now, going to that, Honorable Clerk, you are aware that in a minute that you signed yourself, that is by the former County Assembly Service Board, in the minutes, you wrote about the employment of the said staff. And it reads, just a minute as I refer. In July 2017, the Director Human Resource, Mr. Justus Nkundi, advised the CAS to confirm the staff on probation as at 31st December 2017. Despite unprocedural recruitment, this is what the allegation was, which are done by the previous board, whose investigation is ongoing EACC, the clerk was tasked to do a further advice. Now, there's a minute I'm referring to, kindly, before, yes. In this minute, Honorable Clerk, which you sat in that board, this minute you said, minute number, this minute is the meeting is held on 20th June 2017 at the Honorable Speaker's office at 10:30 a.m. In this document, you indicated the minute as some needed recruitment as the title of the minute. The board passed a resolution to employ the following for cleaning purposes. And you came in a handwriting mutilation of the minutes and wrote, and other services. In the same list of employment, in the minute, there are people whose names are typed. One is Kefa Onkoba Mweresa. Then you have Eric Machoka Undari. We have Vera Kerubo Orina and Wycliffe Mauga Bikundo. Those four are typed. The remaining 6 are not accounted for. However, you added by pen Maureen Mora Abaya, Lamek Nyamache Matoke, and Janet Mokeira Gisemba. And in this case, Honorable Clerk, it is by law that you are the advisor to the board. So if this is the type of advice you gave to the board, then it is also very questionable. Second to that, there was no advert on that employment. There was no competitive process of sourcing the employees. And finally, the titles of the applications are mutilated along the application process. That someone applies for disaster management, you place them in sergeant at arms. Someone applies for something else and you recommend to a different. All of them are having such cases. So, Honorable Clerk, after advising the County Assembly Service Board by that time that the matter should be rested, you still claimed in your response that this would be confirmed automatically after 6 months. That is the law. If the law takes stand, then why were you acting in that regard? I want to allow the honorable members to also put a question in that issue so that when the clerk responds, he responds once. Just allow the members
that's okay,
to first
Mr. Chair.
contribute.
I'm just making a comment, an observation that, like I stated earlier, let us guide ourselves with Section 22 of the County Assembly Service Board Act that prescribes on how you frame your charge. Whatever charges you are reading to us this day are not in that show cause letter.
We are
Just
reading,
for the record.
we are reading about, for your clarity, the charge is illegal confirmation of the staff members. That is what we are giving evidence on. Honorable Ahmed.
Thank you, Chair. I think you have really explained well why EACC took over this process, because it was a short way of employment. Because since there was no advert and the people were unpicked, people were given jobs which they didn't apply for, and it's better to tell the people of NYAMIRA. Our clerk also contradicts himself when he says that the probation, the act of law, that when you finish 6 months, you become automatically permanent. And if it is so, the advisory, the clerk wrote to the board, saying, which you have read very correctly, which was on 13th 03/2018, the clerk himself advised the board, currently the matter is under investigation by EACC, and I am of the opinion to wait for the conclusion of the investigations, which might be direct on what ought to be done. I want the clerk to explain to the people of Nyamira this short way of employment. Why was he confirming them into permanent and pensionable? And when did they completed this case from EACC? Because as a board, we are not aware of it. Thank you, Chair.
Through the chair, I also wish to ask the clerk if at any given time, because he's aware about what the Service Act says and the functions of the County Assembly Service Board, which is in charge of the entire staff of the County Assembly, among other duties and the functions given to each, who gave him that authority to single-handedly confirm those members who were still under EACC investigations. If at all there is a minute to that effect, then he should table it here for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. My concern is on the process of employment in any public office. Before any employment is done, there should be needs assessment from the directorates. We should be having a letter or a document showing that these employees were required in a certain directorate, which is not there. Number two, Mr. Clark said that the law allowed him to confirm the employees after 6 months. But if you look at the steps, these employees finished 6 months, and then he did a letter saying that they will not be confirmed because they had not performed well. The question is, was there performance appraisal that led to the clerk to say that they had not performed? Then in January, he gave 3 months from December. The period ended in end of February. March, he was there. So if he was there at that time, why didn't he confirm them? Because they had finished the 6 months. Thank you.
Chair, allow me to have a second question on top of what I asked. There is another question, I think, from the response of the clerk. He stated that in page 3 on the response, from his personal response, that all members of staff of the County Assembly employed since 2013, I confirmed them after the 6 months in the same manner, since that is below. Underline the word, I confirmed them after 6 months. Now I'm asking this. He was there the moment they finished 6 months, the same employees who were under EACC investigations. He never confirmed them. What changed? Number two, I want him to confirm to us or to this committee that once the employees were employed from 2013 here in this county assembly, they finished 6 months. He just went himself alone and single-handedly confirmed the other employees in that manner, because he has said that is the same way he used to do before. So if indeed he was to confirm them without any authority, without any minute, without any approval from the County Assembly Service Board. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for your submissions. Clerk, you'll wait until I allow you to respond. Thank you. Because we are... And at the same time, Clerk, on 30th October 2017, you wrote a letter to the employees in question, a reconfirmation in appointments, I am pleased to convey the decision of the County Assembly Service Board that your performance was not satisfactory and the requisite period of service on probation period has been extended for a period of 3 months from 1st November 2017 to 31st January 2018. You are hereby not confirmed on permanent and pensionable terms. Your service may be terminated if it will be below expectations. And after extending, by this time it was expiring, the extension again, you are still the clerk of NYAMIRA County Assembly. And in that regard, we have the second one, which is having the same as the first one, but after the elapse of the extension, you noted there was an ESCC case, to which effect you wrote an advisory to the board, telling them not to confirm. Today, we have gotten a different response, that is the law, so it's your turn to respond.
Thank you, Chair. I wish to respond as follows. And unfortunately, we are now working in retrospect. How they were employed, the process which took place, is not part of the matter that I have here.
It's part of the evidence.
Excuse me?
The reason why it is in ESCC, that is the explanation we have given, and kindly we need to say evidence has no limit, provided it is related to the employees in question. We are not bringing evidence about any other staff. We are bringing evidence about the staff in question. And we were bringing to light your representative or maybe your advisor about what transpired and why they landed in ESCC.
I hope I'm now allowed to proceed.
You can proceed.
Thank you. I want to repeat what I said, and I think we are working in retrospect. This process took place in 2017. And that time there was a board headed by the chairman, who was Honorable Joash Nyamoko. Other members included Honorable Sirunga. Other members included, I think, Raban Masira. And another member included Honorable Jerusha Omani. Having said that, I came to step 2 of my response. These matters we are talking about, the way you have brought them, were in the previous allegations that you found me out of office because of them. They were well canvassed. Finally, remember, in your report for me to come back to office, it is clear that when you look at the matter, and thank you for bringing me back, resisting and bringing me back. Thank you so much, Honorable Board. The document I have says that the matters were found, or the allegations were found to be baseless. You did that, thank you so much. You went ahead, you made a minute that I get back to office, thank you. Honorable Chair of the County Assembly Service Board gave me a letter to report back to office, thank you. And finally, we proceeded to the Senate, and thank you informed the Senate that it's in record that we found the allegations baseless, so we reinstated him. That audit query was removed. I said that was what we had. But for today, Honorable Board, we need to deal with what you have put here. You single-handedly confirmed 11 members of staff who are still under ESCC investigations without the authority of the board to permanent and questionable terms. He said the employee's recruitment was questionable and the board passed a resolution over the same that you did contrary. I want to bring to the light and in record. When I look at the minutes that were done, you gave the dates. Yes. Minutes, this minutes of 7th April 2023. The Secretary of the Board informed the members that there were 11 staff who had not been confirmed due to ESCC pending investigation on their employment. The board resolved that they could not take any action on the issue until after the ESCC had concluded the matter. I accept, yes, this is the minute. But unfortunately, I want to bring to your attention that, and it is happening up today, I am not the custodian of minutes of the board, despite the law. So that I'm able to refer to what did the minutes say. I must say that.
Did you sign the minutes?
Chairman, I thought it's me
It's
who was
not about
talking.
custody. We are not talking about reference. Did you sign the minutes? Yes, that is what I want to be clear. That would be misleading. That we are talking about custody. We want to mention what.
Allow me
We are
to
specific.
advance my argument.
Honorable Clerk,
Chairman,
just,
kindly,
just information to you. You
kindly.
talked about, if I revisit, that we discuss what we have alleged. Us bringing you back to speed was on why the case is with ESCC. That is okay.
That's where I'm getting to.
Then we are talking about the resolution that you are accepting, that you informed the board. 10 days later, you cannot talk about custody of the minutes. It's about the action that was agreed upon.
Thank you. I proceed. That
And I want you to go on record. Did you sign the minutes? Yes or no?
the minutes have signed them.
I want a yes or no. Did you sign the
No, you
minutes?
cannot direct me that
Did
way.
you sign the minutes, Honorable Clerk? It is a simple answer.
No, I have said I signed the minutes. What's the difference between what you are
It's as
asking?
simple as that. Continue. I needed clarification. He needs to also restrict himself to
I want protection of the chair.
the protection is
Now,
Honorable
goes to what I
Clerk.
was saying.
The rules are clear. That if you are asked a question, just answer it as it is. Nobody is harassing you.
Allow me
Continue first.
to continue. I am not very close to what I was saying. The minutes are not in my office. I might have lost this along the way. Now, later, when I did those letters, and I said clearly, I want to read, so that I'm able to expound on the same, that the matter came up in the CASIC meeting, sometimes back at Asia Hotel, the confirmation of the staff assembly, Kisumu, and I tendered my apologies for having acted contrary to the expectations of the board. I want to say honestly, maybe I am failing to think well. I tendered my apologies. The board resolved that I withdraw the letter so that we would do a minute later, allowing such a letters to be written. I did as advised. It's only 2 staff members that had received, and they returned the letters to me. I did not do it in bad faith. I explained the reasoning I had in writing these letters as follows. That in my view, I was trying to clear administrative backlog since some of them requested for the letters in order to access even bank facilities as they are not benefiting from the assembly car loan and mortgage scheme. I anchored my action on section 721 of the County Government Act number 17 of 2012. 1, it says, if the relevant authority fails to confirm and appoint a public officer initially appointed on a probationary terms, and the term has lapsed with or without extension, the officer shall stand confirmed in the appointment on the due date. I also went to Employment Act number 11 of 2007, section 42(2). A probationary period shall not be more than 6 months, but it may be extended for a further period of not more than 6 months with the agreement of the employee. 3, no employer shall employ an employee under probationary contract for more than the period provided under subsection 2. Note that the letters I wrote to them could not change their status at all or jeopardize the said investigations in any way. Neither their payslips nor the job rules changed. It was just administrative and a formality, as the law had already declared them permanent and pensionable. I am sure, even after I withdrew the letters, I want to believe that their payslips indicate as PNP, because that is the law. I also want to say that for sure, when an officer has made a mistake and has come back to you on a bended knees and said, I am sorry, it should be taken that way. Number 3, I look forward to invite them as my witnesses that I would do those letters. That's what we are handling here. And clearly I'll say, even giving those confirmation letters does not jeopardize any form of investigations. Finally, I want to state here that there are things maybe administratively you can do and go wrong. And remember, some of these letters, I'm sorry, yes, that I had communicated this way, that way, we were finished with them. They cannot be brought back in retrospect. But having stayed out there for 4 years and 9 months, some of them could have escaped my attention. But I want to express once again that when I did what I did, I came back to you on a bended knees. That's what I remember mentioned at Acacia Hotel, and apologized. Later again, you find them appearing in a show cause letter. I want to say what I did, I was only trying to do what the law requires, but it was not my intention at all to ignore the advice of the board. Thank you. I hope my answer could have a comment to make.
Thank you. Unless she's telling you what to add. Kindly, I want to restrict your counsel from adding much, because she is really interfering with this process. You are disrupting the process by your counsel. Kindly, you have tendered, unless you want to add something on your own, because the counsel is really disturbing this sitting.
All right, we stand guided and guided. This issue you have indicated of abuse of office, I think is a very heavy term for a public officer junior like me. I want to find out what public abuse of office is. A county governor may be removed. I'm on this is Article 181 of the Constitution, particularly on removal from the governor from office. A county governor may be removed from office on any of the following grounds: gross violation of the Constitution or any other law, when there are serious reasons for believing that the county governor has committed a crime under national or international law. Number C, abuse office or gross misconduct, or physical or mental incapacity to perform. I don't have to go to that one. So I did not look at it as a form of abuse of office. And on our county government, county assembly service act, section 22 has this to say: the board may suspend or remove from office the clerk for A, inability to perform the functions of the office, whether arising from infirmity or body or mind. B, gross misconduct or misbehavior. C, incompetency. D, bankruptcy. E, violation of the provisions of the Constitution, including Chapter 6 of the Constitution. And here I'm sure we need to be specific which one. F, violation of the provisions of this Act. When I look at this and I receive a short course letter indicating abuse of office, it becomes a bit difficult for me to fathom what we are trying to prosecute. As I said, I made my apologies on that, and it's in record, you are aware. And I took back the letters. 2 of them also had gone out after you had advised me, and I did as you advised me. That's why I said I now understand how we need to work. And that those staffs are here in the assembly, and they wish to be, I wish that they become witnesses, whether they have these letters or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think this is a fair hearing, Honorable Chair, and we are really circumlocuting on this issue too much. The clerk is circumlocuting on this issue too much, and there is more of seeking mercy, because as a member of the board, I'm also aware when the issue of ballot boxes was raised in the board, he accepted, but here is also referring to Acacia. And I will, and the Honorable Chair, the issue, Honorable Chair, the issue of confirming these staffs into permanent and pensionable, Honorable Chair, and I want to go on record that I don't want our clerk to misread this board, because when we cleared him, we didn't clear the case which was in EACC the way he was stating.
Thank you.
Honorable Chair,
I want to give guidance that we may not refer to, these are board of record and these are hearing that is on record. Honorable Clerk, we are not discussing matters discussed outside without record. Second to that, because if we go back to whether you accepted to have released the ballot papers or not outside this hearing, then it's really interfering with what we need to document.
Thank you, Chair. I also, Chair, as a youth who is also in this corporate body, this kind of employment, I refer to it as a short way of recruiting staff. Honorable Chair, this is why this case is under EACC. And I'm not aware, but the clerk has just admitted that he did a mistake and he apologized, but I'm not aware when did he apologize and when did we minute his apology. Honorable Chair, let us tell our people the truth, that these people were handwritten, these people were inserted. That is why the case is in EACC. And as a board, we have not cleared the case. And that is why is stating clearly. At that time when he was in office, he wrote an advisory note to confirm them. Does it mean that this time when he is in office after suspension, he found a soft landing to confirm these staffs into permanent and pensionable? Thank you, Chair.
Chairman, with your intelligence, I've around let me stand with a lot of humility. I have around 4 areas to talk about. First and foremost, I want to bring to the attention of the council representing the secretary of the board that initially what the chairman was doing a background information to bring you to light about the issue we are talking about and why essentially these members were taken to EACC. Then number 2, the secretary said very clear here that when he came back, he was cleared of those issues and they were read at baseless by the same board. That one we don't deny. But the issue of those employees who were employed illegally and irregularly was not part of what was cleared. The same issue remained with the EACC up to date. That is number 2. Then number 3, the CLERK is saying that at some stage, while the same board seated at the Acacia Hotel in Kisumu, this issue was brought there. I want to state for the purpose of the records that this issue was not part of the minutes of that day. If indeed he has those minutes, he can bring them here or elsewhere at the table as his own evidence. That issue never came because personally I was there. This issue was brought to the attention of this board some few days ago when we were preparing to go to the Senate to handle Senate issues which were there. Then after that, now the board is doing administrative actions on those issues which came to the attention of the board at that particular time. Finally, the CLERK has said very clear from this Service Act on the grounds the CLERK can be removed from office. He has said that violation of the abuse of office is not part of those grounds. From section 2022, I'll go to E. It's about chapter 6 of the Constitution, which is all about leadership and integrity. It's anchored there. Then, I may not remember the exact section, but it's in chapter 6 of the Constitution. Leadership and integrity. You may know better, not as answer. So, finally, he has said very clear here that the chair,
Yes.
he has stated here in his response that in his response, and I've read it very clear, in page 3, number 3 of his response, under that issue of confirming the 11 employees illegally, he has said that at sentence number 3, after the full stop, it was just administrative and a formality as the law had already declared them permanent and pensionable. Now, I just want to ask him, if that was a formality, then it means from the time we came here, he has been doing that without the approval of the board, the previous boards which were there, because he said it was a formality. Then finally he has said, now I understand. So from these grounds of removing one from office, then it means he is very incompetent because he didn't understand what he was employed for. Because he has said now he understands. That means he was employed, but he did not understand after the board has brought it to his attention that this is how you should work. So probably this is another issue emanating from those grounds of moving the clerk from office. Then to me, I think is very incompetent. Thank you.
Thank you. You can put it there. Honorable, incompetence is not an abusive language. It is part of the ground and it is in the Constitution. Honorable Edith, you have a word?
I think most things have been said, but I can only ask Mr. Clark, if the same board brought you back and we saw what made you to be outside was baseless. And one of the things that appeared there, you have repeated the same mistake. That is now our problem. You have repeated the same mistake.
Thank you, Honorable Edith. We wish to state that when we brought the whole issue, we wanted to bring everyone up to speed because we may be perusing things shallowly. Second to that, when Clerk, you came back, we allowed you to come back because even if the matter of the 11 was there, it was already taken up by the relevant authority and it was pending investigation. Contrary to that, after the board noted that, you advised the board, 10 days later, you still want to tell this board that your memory may have not remembered. 10 days later, it should go on record that on 7th, we sat and did a minute on the same employees and said, we cannot do anything regarding the employees until it is concluded. 7th of April 2023. And on 17th, 10 days later, barely 10 days, because if you remove 7th, you start from 8th, then we have about 8 days later, the clerk confirms these people to permanent and pensionable without the authority of the board, misusing the power put on him to communicate the decisions of the board. That is one of the roles. Third, to that, we may take it lightly. We as a board, we have the role of protecting the law and being lawful at all times. And we may take it lightly that withdrawing the letters from the employees is just light. It is also trauma, it is also demeaning to be handing an employee a confirmation and withdrawing it immediately after that. Honorable Clerk mentioned in his submissions that he wanted to clear them so that they can access bank loans out there. So is it again our role as a board? Is it again allowed that the clerk facilitates officers under investigation to access credit facility out there in the event that ESCC nullifies that employment? So the liability shifts to the bank. Is that not intentional fraud? It is a question to be answered later. Moving on, if you have something to add, Commissioner Lamy.
Honorable Chair, I have also seen Wakili is beautiful and the Gen Zs out here, they are demonstrating. Honorable Chair, for the future of this assembly and the future of NYAMIRA, if we are doing these illegalities, Honorable Chair, what if ESCC directors can give us a directive to re-advertise those positions and that the clerk has went ahead to confirm them into permanent and pension for that? Honorable Chair, I wish him to answer.
I won't allow him to answer to that extent. He has already submitted and in his report there is nothing that has changed. What I need to state is that the law confirms them by default after 6 months. Clerk, if the law can confirm them by default, why then do you confirm them on writing? So we want to okay, you can answer.
Thank you. Thank you once again. I think I've done the explanation. But one thing I wanted to go in record, and very clearly, I am not the custodian of the board minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk. I would wish to make it clear, and it goes on record. We are not talking about custody of the minutes. And in your response, in your written response to the show cause letter, you never captured you not being custodian of the minutes. And going back to that, still, when we cleared you of the issues that were raised, we realized that some of the minutes were mutilated by you here. Therefore, if we have trust issues with the custody of the minutes, if you ask for them that you want to look at the minutes, there is no harm. And they were told all the board documents are still with the chair. So if you wanted to confirm anything in that office, well, you are allowed. However, you have admitted to that minute that you participated and signed. Therefore, we are not talking about custody, we are talking about you participating and going against the minute. We are moving to the last issue.
I have some small for record purpose. I think I mentioned earlier that whatever happened, there was a board that managed with that. But I'm looking at section 17 of the County Assembly Service Act, B. The functions of the secretary, B, shall be the custodian of the board records. So this function was taken away from me.
Thank you, Clerk. We are stating it clearly. If you can go ahead and confirm without the authority of the board, it means you can edit the minutes to fit you. I make a ruling that that confession you are giving is not related to what you're saying. If we had left you with the minutes, what proof would we have here as the board? Somehow. We want to move to the next question, to the next allegation. And on this, it's about delegation of duties, which you clearly deny in your show cause response. And on a letter dated 7th November 2023, you, the clerk of the County Assembly of NYAMIRA, wrote to the chairman of the County Assembly Service Board, reference, sharing out of office roles in the office of the clerk. And you wrote, aware that the major roles of the office of the clerk is being authorized officer and accounting officer, and without abdicating my role, I wish to request the CASP to share roles to another office formally due to the following reasons. One, I have a health condition that I'm attending to meanwhile, and this calls for my close attention. Two, owing to the fact that I will be retiring in a short while, I see this sharing out of the clerk's roles as a succession strategy. With time, this will see a smooth transition. Once again, I thank the CASP for the support it has continued giving to me, and I look forward to my prayers being granted. Yours, thank you. Signed, Daniel Orina, Clerk, County Assembly of NYAMIRA. And it was received to the office of the chairperson, the speaker, on 9th of November 2023. Having said that, the board received this and did a minute on the 12th November 2023 after receiving that at Wigot Hotel. And one of the agendas was the request by the clerk. And in minute 4 of the same meeting, the CASP was in receipt of the letter forwarded by the clerk to the office of the chairman CASP, dated 8th November, folio number 124, to the CASP, so as to cite the CASP resolved as follows. The clerk to be responsible on matters on human resource, legislative, and procedural function as follows. Human resource duties, welfare and employee relations, disciplinary control, training and development, coordinate performance management, oversee mainstream of key service policies. Legislative and procedural duties, to render expert and partisan and impartial advice to the members of the County Assembly on legislative process and assembly procedures and practices, to carry out such other duties and exercising powers as may be conferred on him by the law or standing orders and practices of the County Assembly, be under the direction of the Speaker. While the Deputy Clerk, Mr. Duke Simon Onyari, to be responsible on matters finance and administration as follows. Maintain adequate financial management arrangements and ensuring they continue to be effective throughout the reporting period. 2. Provide financial advice to the County Assembly Service Board. 3. Be responsible for any expenditure and other accounting matters. 4. Be the custodian of all accounting records. 5. Attend CASP meetings on need basis. Note, the 2 officers shall be responsible to the chairperson of the CASP for the general working and efficient conduct of the County Assembly Service. Therefore, each officer on the matter above shall, in line of their duty, provide any information regarding their roles at any time they are called upon. This minute was done, and Honorable Clerk, you are part of that. Now, on that regard, still, a letter was served to both the Deputy Clerk and the Clerk stating their roles as indicated in the minutes. And it is received in your office on 12th November 2023 as this letter that is in your evidences can show. Now, owing to that, in your response, you have denied not to have delegated. And owing to the fact that the secretary or the clerk to the assembly is the advisor to the board, you have stated severally in your addresses out there, which are there, and I sent a link over the same to your WhatsApp so that you could also service it to your council, is that you denied you didn't delegate. And delegation, if you look at the County Assembly Service Act, under 21, if the office of the clerk is vacant, or if for any reason the clerk is unable to exercise the function of his or her office, the deputy clerk, or in the absence of the deputy clerk, any other officer in the service appointed by the board may exercise all the functions, duties, and powers of the clerk. In this case, we had a letter that you had given a blank check to the board to see those duties that are light that cannot affect your health. And on that same day you wrote that letter and submitted it. We have photos of you sending your pressure going high while you were at Aga Khan Hospital, Kisumu, to the chair, and he indicated to us. And we say, as a matter of agency to the board, we need to put this matter to rest and assist you do lighter roles. We did that as indicated in this County Assembly Service Act, which you deny to date. Linking that to your response, Honorable Clerk, in the last parts of the submissions, that is in the prayers, you have indicated that we return your roles to you. It may be a prayer, but nobody took your role as an accounting officer in this assembly. You as well indicated that we have 2 chief executive officers, which you as part of the board, you know we don't have a minute to that, and one Mr. Simon Onyari, the deputy clerk, does not have any letter that is putting him as the clerk of this assembly, except when he was acting for the period of 4 years and 9 months. I would also like for it to go to record that while you were away on suspension for the 4 years and the 9 months, Mr. Duke Onyari was acting as the clerk. While you came back, as you came back, you found that he was the one doing the accounting roles. He was the signatory to the transactions of the assembly, and that was still going on. The chairman gave you all you needed to go and change the signatoryship, which you started the process. We, as a board, are not the Treasury or the Central Bank of Kenya to change such. So we want to defect from the fact that we have denied you to being a signatory. It is in regard to your letter, and being a signatory involved a lot of activities which we felt are heavier, and you had cited your health issues as part of it. Given that you gave us the freedom to assign to you the roles that we feel are lighter, the board saw it wise to do that. Up to date, you didn't file any protest on whether the roles we gave you are the ones you didn't want, because you never indicated specifics of that. If the letter was closed that you want these and these roles to be given to the deputy clerk and we remain with these, then we could be having a case to answer on that. Honorable Commissioners, if you have an issue to say.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm really wondering whether this letter was from the office of the clerk, because the clerk himself wrote a letter to the board, sharing out of office roles in the office of the clerk. One, I have healthy conditions that I'm attending to meanwhile, and this calls for my close attention, owing to the fact that I will be retiring in a short while. So, Mr. Clerk is knowing that he's retiring soon. Maybe that is why he wrote this letter to the board. And I don't know why he's denying whether the board faked this letter. So, my question is, are you the one who wrote this letter, and are you the one who is denying that you didn't delegate your roles? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Mugalu. Commissioner Edith, thank you. On that matter, Honorable Clerk in his submissions indicated that there are things that he needs to be noted over the same matter. One, the letter idea was your advice referring to the chairperson. I want it to go on record that we are not going to handle personal, social conversations in this hearing. If you have an issue with the chair, go and sue him outside this hearing, because that was the advice to you, which we don't rely on. We rely on the final product of the letter that you offered this board. Number two, I kept requesting for a meeting between finance, deputy clerk, and my office so that we agree on how we could be carrying out roles, but the meeting never took place. Still, we won't take responsibility as the board for a failed meeting. If so, you would have communicated to the board that that meeting had failed, so that we minute it and we'll look for further direction. Three, I talked to you, referring to the chairman of the board, and sent to your WhatsApp all the above laws and delegations on delegation to invite your response so that we could sit and talk it out, but it never happened. In our County Assembly Service Act, the clerk, who is the secretary to the board, is the advisor to the board, specifically on matters the law and on matters compliance. Up to this point, you never advised the board officially so that it is taken note of. Number four, I persistently kept on asking for a letter from you defining my roles as per the minutes of the board, to no avail. Until recently, you informed me some actions are better off when left at that. Still, in our submissions, there is a letter that was given to the office of the clerk over the same, and the deputy clerk was served on that on the 12th of, let me just look at the dates, on the 12th of November 2023. That notwithstanding, in the minutes, the roles are very clear, and part of those minutes, you are part of the team that confirmed those minutes. So it may be an excuse of just trying to implicate that the board never gave you a communication, yet the minutes are very clear on the roles that you are given and to the minutes you signed. Honorable Lamek, you said you have something.
Honorable Chair, I'm requesting that from 7th November 2023, because in the previous boards, our clerk, I'm seeing advisory to the county assembly service board. If he has any advisory to the board concerning the sharing of roles, he can table it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Lamek. And that is why I said that I will not regard these issues that are personal, you to you to you. And second to that, Honorable Clerk, in your precedence and with the former board, you are doing advisory on written. You have never done an advisory on written on this issue to the board so that the board could discuss it. And even if you did, you could do it through the chair. Still, our board has not received such an advisory.
Thank you, Chair. I'm responding to item number 3, violation of the provisions of the County Assembly Service Act 2017. Contrary to Chapter 6 of the Constitution, Article 2010 of Kenya 2010, Article 74, 75, and Section 17(4) of the County Assembly Service Act 2017, you misled the Senate on 7th June 24 that you were not aware of the delegated roles in your office, contrary to your requested letter dated 7th November 2023. Thank you. That's what I'm responding to. You have mentioned that when you were seated in Kisumu for us to discuss these roles, my pressure went up and you have pictures. Yes, I sent it to the speaker. I want to put it in record. I arrived in Kisumu at Wigot Hotel for a meeting. And then what do I find on the desk in my file? Minutes done in my absence on the sharing out of these roles. My pressure went up. I went to a store for a whole day. But still the board worked on these minutes, and you know well, finally we had to look at the minutes when we were at the Tigo Resort later. And I want it to be in record. I raised a concern because these minutes, I was not involved in making them. But the issue came up that even other members, sometimes when they are not in, they come later and sign minutes. I signed them, but I wanted to go in record under duress because of the environment upon which I was working. Truth be told. Now, did I write a letter to the board? When you are saying that this letter, whatever communication I've indicated here, I should not mention it, it's personal. No. My letter is addressed to the Chairman, County Assembly Service Board. This communication I did is not a personal letter. I have addressed to the Chairman, County Assembly Service Board. So, Chair, it would be unfair on me if you, by the use of language, you start saying that what I was doing was personal communication. Never. I was writing to the Chairman, County Assembly Service Board, and the document is here. Language notwithstanding. Secondly, I want to mention, when I wrote the letter, and I want it to go in record, that this is at a very acrimonious time within the board towards me. And we were seated at Cyrock Hotel, Mombasa. The acrimony was at the apex. The chairman, in his wisdom, because that's what I mentioned here and I read it, took me out of the meeting and advised me. And remember, I reported to the chairman's office and advised me, this acrimony is going a bit far. I am of this opinion. We sat. And that one I raised the pipe a million times if you want. We sat. And I accepted the advice of my chair. That now what you can do is to write a letter. I want your protection, chair.
Anyone harassing you?
Yes, by body language. Thank you. Paralinguistics. The chairman advised me that to avoid some of these pull and push, write a letter that you will seek for sharing of roles, not abdication of roles. Those are two different things. I thought that was a wise decision because I'm looking for peace. I'm looking for tranquility in this assembly. So I went ahead and did the letter, handwritten to him first. Which is in my WhatsApp. Because it's my chair, I was communicating with him. When we left Mombasa, I came, I did a letter to him, handwritten, talking of sharing of responsibilities. And it will be produced, the letter will be produced at the appropriate time. He sent back that letter, edited. Because I had wound up the letter by saying, share out responsibilities according to the law, or as per the law. Chairman sent back the edited version that he edited and told me to remove the last statement as per the law. But I did two things. One, I had already sent him my original writing saying as per the law. Secondly, I had to redo it again. And then I have indicated that the records are still safe. I had to redo it again to remove that bit because he has said, don't have to indicate as per the law. The advice came from the chairman. You have said that you have not received any communication from me in terms of advisory or so on. Who is the board? There must be a leader in the board. Any communication I make, I cannot make to all of you.
Was it officially written through the chair? Just a clarification. The board entails 4 members.
I want to read you. Clarification,
Yes,
I'll read you the law.
just giving your direction slightly. Sorry for the interruption. We have 4 members in the board. The chair is the 5th, and the 6th person is the secretary of the board.
Yes.
What we asked, and I want to be clear, did you write to the chair so that that communication would reach us through the chair? Up to today, we don't have any written advisory from the clerk officially received by the chair.
Thank you. I proceed. The County Assembly Service Act, Section 17(2) has this to say. The secretary shall be responsible to the chairperson of the board and the board for general working and efficient conduct of business of the service. I have no doubt in my mind that anything I want to reach the board must start with a chairman. The show cause letter, violation of provisions of County Assembly Service Act, oath of office, Chapter 6 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 in Article 74 states as follows: oath of office of state officers. And I want to read what the section says. Before assuming office, a state officer acting in a state office or performing any functions of state office, a person shall take and subscribe to the oath of affirmation of office in the manner and form prescribed by the third schedule or under any act of parliament. 75. A state officer shall behave, whether in public or in official life, in private life, or in association with other persons, in a manner that avoids any conflict between personal interest and public interest or official duties. Avoiding conflict. Compromising any public or official interest in favor of a personal interest. Or demeaning the office the officer holds. A state officer means a person holding a state office. I have prescribed the oath, yes, and stand to remain truthful in discharging my duties. However, I wish to clarify that all employees of government are public officers. State officers are holders of the offices listed under Article 260 of the Constitution, which I have read, which includes the President, Deputy President, Cabinet Secretary, members of Parliament, judges and magistrates, members of the Commission to which Chapter 15 applies, holders of independent offices to which Chapter 15 applies, members of the County Assembly, Governor or a Deputy Governor, or the other members, the Executive Committee of a County Government, Attorney General, Director of Public Prosecution, Secretary to the Cabinet, Chief of Kenya Defence Forces, Commander of a Service of Kenya Defence Forces, Director General of the National Intelligence Service. I persistently kept on asking for a letter from you defining my roles as per minutes of the board, but to no avail. Until recently, you informed me that some actions are better off when left at that. Let me surprise you. This show cause letter. A copy was dropped in my office, yes, received. And thank God, Honorable Speaker, who is the chair, sent it, a copy, to my WhatsApp, and he also said a copy had been sent to my email. But, to my surprise today, in this evidence that we asked for so that we are able to respond, I saw a letter purported to have come to my office on 12th of November 2023. I stand here to tell you that I never received this letter. And the next thing that should be done is to ask the officers in my office who received this letter and where did it go. It is here. I saw it inside here. But until recently, this year, around last year, November, Speaker, Honorable Chair, should have come here and attest, if possible, how many times I've asked him so that I get my letter to be able to divide my roles. I know we have gone through the minutes. They're here. It's written on these issues of allocating of roles. Minutes are done, then there's a letter telling you exactly what to do. Minutes of bringing me back were done, and I didn't use minutes to walk in. A letter was done to me to give me express instructions to report back to office. And for sure, if this letter came out, why is it that all this time still I am, even if I'm not the signatory, to avoid issues, I've remained the accounting officer in one way or the other, and I acknowledged in the board, in the Senate, that Yes, I am the clerk. Yes, are you the accounting officer? I said yes. I was basing my saying yes on the account that when you are the clerk of the assembly, you are at the same time the accounting officer. Where the trick came is when I was asked, are you a signatory to the bank account? I said, I am not, and that is true. Because any minute I would have said I am, it would be found out within a minute. So I am not a signatory to those bank accounts. And if for sure I delegated, because you have said I cheated the Senate, I'm sure this should have been written by the Senate that I've cheated them. Because the Senate could have taken an issue with me. If for sure I cheated the Senate, that I'm a copy of a letter that I wrote to my deputy clerk, Duke Onyari, to transact on my behalf. Because the information I've read here from the law, which I know because I came from public service, to delegate your responsibility as an accounting officer, it must be written. If that is not enough, I still approve issues related to finance, only that I don't pay. And I do it because I am the accounting officer. Let me mention for you a few. I approve still expenditure. They come to me. I still approve honorable members when they go out and the staff. Some of their requisition that they are going out, they are brought to my office. I approve. I have been signing up to the other day any other form of contract that has come to my desk. I signed the contracts that are going on for the last financial year, which ended 3 days ago. Be it security services, I signed. Remember, I signed the construction of the speaker's residence, I signed. I am the one who's still receiving information on the construction of this office as the accounting officer. I approve their payments, or I send to finance, telling that the please process. If for sure I was not the accounting officer, then they should have not been brought to me. I went with you to the Senate, and I sat in the Senate in the middle as a recognition that you are the accounting officer, and the questions were fired to me. That was on 7th June 2024. I went there responding to audit queries. So if anybody felt like I should not, or I'm not the accounting officer, why did I go there? I should have been dropped before going there. I have signed documents like Walmart's, which is working with us. I signed hotel requisitions when the honorable members go out. Then they should not be brought to me. I still sign store requisitions. They are brought to my office up to a few minutes ago. I've signed one. All procurement documents that require clerk's approval, because they understand that the approval must go through the clerk. They come to me, I sign as the accounting officer, which I accepted in the Senate. The only thing I did not accept is whether I am signatory. I am not to the accounts. So I did not in any way abdicate my responsibility. I did not in any way mislead the Senate committee seated in Nairobi on 7th of June 2024. I also want to mention, I am aware of the law. And when I find myself being contrary to the law, I always tender my apologies. But for this one, I am firmly saying I did not delegate. And they would have said I delegated in the Senate that time. I want it to go in record. Then the question is, what are you doing in office? What did you come to do? Because the issues of accounting officer deal with money are very heavy issues. If for sure I delegated, then I request in this file a letter that I wrote to the deputy clerk, designating him as the signatory or another accounting officer. I want to finish, Honorable Chair. Under my prayers, I want to finish so that we get other reactions. If I did anything contrary to the expectations of the County Assembly Service Board, I heartfully tender my apologies. I now understand how you wish us to work. Take care of how you wish us to work. The three boards are faced in this assembly work differently. The board presided over by Honorable Josh Nyamoko had a way of working. The board presided over by Honorable Moffat Steyer had a way of working. And the current board presided over by Honorable Okero has its own way of working. And that's why I say, I now understand how you wish us to work. I wanted to put it clear. Kindly, where I done it wrongly, contrary to your expectations, please pardon me. Two, with humility, I ask the Honorable Board that we work all the time by consulting established laws.
I believe, Honorable Clerk, you are answering and finishing up to your prayers.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm finishing the prayers so that I sit. And I have said this for record purpose. Having worked in the public service for 33 years, this is important for me, and 17 years as an accounting officer, I am well trained and experienced to carry out my responsibility as the accounting officer. Kindly return my role to me as the accounting officer, authorized officer. And when you're an accounting officer, you are a signatory in the bank accounts, so that you know how money is moving from one end to another. Because at the end of the day, when you are going to the Senate, you will have to say exactly what was moving. My prayers remain. I did all this. I did not write letters of advisory left, right, because I have seen it where those advisory letters can be very acrimonious, can bring a lot of acrimony. Because you will be asking, why are you advising when we are seated across? Why don't we talk? And why did I avoid that? Wherever I've worked, that's not the way to go. The writing letters, when your speaker is next to the door, a letter. Somebody's next door, you do him a letter. No, there's a way we can do it. I did that for the purpose of peace, tranquility, and harmony at work, that will enable us to deliver to our employer. And I still request, make a prayer that let us create a harmonious working environment. Finally, the county assembly or any organization cannot have two chief executive officers. Do not deny here that the information within the assembly is that we have got two clerks.
We want to hear official things, not
It is my time.
And if you can provide evidence to that, we don't
It is
want
my
you to
time. I like that.
have evidence, yes.
Thank you. Allow me to respond.
If we have to see
Even the staff can tell you what they know. That's why they don't report to me. Others report to him. Others report to me. Well and good. But that is the truth. It will not change. It will not change. If you are so spirited, even in our meetings, the two clerks here. You know.
No, be official, Honorable Clerk.
Yes.
You are getting too emotional and becoming personal.
Thank you.
I don't think I want to guide you before you continue through my chair here. With due respect, we are not talking about hearsays. If all of us started saying hearsays, then we would really be losing direction. We want documented evidence that we have 2 CEOs and clerks that are designated to be 2 in the assembly.
The minutes here
And
dividing
a program
roles.
that shows that we have 2 clerks.
Thank you. The minutes here indicating the sharing of roles is a clear testimony of the 2 CEOs.
And your letter is a clear testimony.
Thank you. I have explained, protect me, Chair.
You can be protected if you are also using the right language.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, Honorable Chair,
Yes.
I think this is a fair hearing and it's not a mercy-seeking meeting. What I'm requesting, Honorable Chair, even as we have a lot to talk to the public concerning our clerk, but we want to restrict ourselves to what is raised in the show cause letter. But Honorable Chair, the clerk, he has just stated that he wrote a letter and he signed the letter and the minutes under duress. Honorable Chair, I think our clerk is an educationist. He's well educated. He has went even in the UK for further studies. But Honorable Chair, if he can make a decision under duress, can he state clearly what were we carrying? Were we carrying knives so that he can sign the minutes? Or is telling the people of NYAMIRA that he is incapacitated to work in his office? Because Honorable Chair, it's a simple reason. I can't tell you take poison and you take it. You can wait for further action. If there was anything made him to sign under duress, it was to wait until further action rather than making a poor decision of signing the document and denying. And here is denying that he never wrote a letter and he never delegated. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable.
And lastly, he always sits in the board. His advisory is very essential to the board. But not a single day as a member of the board, the clerk has raised the idea of sharing laws in the board meeting. So whatever is just stated here for me and viewers. Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Lamek, for your submissions. I want to state clearly so that it goes to record. We did come here to seek mercy, as we have said. We came here to listen to all of us. Second to that, Honorable Clerk has painted a very wrong image of this board out there. So we also have the burden of proof to the public. Second to that, I want to state that if Honorable Clerk claims that the letter is talking about here of his roles communicated to him, because the show cause letter, I'm addressing the clerk, Wakili, kindly stop interfering with the respondent. While we are in progress, you can